Yes, I've been checking people off as they come in, so I think I'm
Okay,
up to
great.
date on that. Yep.
I think we have a short meeting unless people have more to talk about. So we'll just get through it pretty quickly. We have the minutes from last time. Are there any amendments to the minutes? Okay, we'll take a motion and a second to adopt those minutes. I think Catherine. Thank you. And anyone second? Great. Alexandra, thank you. Any objections or? Okay, the minutes are adopted. So we're basically talking about the CAP, which there's not much to talk about. We're having a meeting later today, the CAP committee, to discuss the RFP. And unless I'm missing something, Don, I don't think, or Brenda or Jennifer or anyone else, I don't think there's anything other than that update to actually discuss right now, right? Or share?
Yeah, we're just putting the final touches on how we're going to evaluate the proposals. Is the last thing we have to discuss, and then it will get sent to DEC for their last look. I'm not anticipating any problems there, and then we mail it out, send it out to.
Great.
But I would just say, if anybody has any specific consultants in mind that they would like to see this go to, we can do that. So just send me an email with a consultant's name or company name. All right. If it is.
Great. This has been a long, slow process, but we are making progress now, thanks to Don and staff at the county level. So we will hopefully soon enough be in the substantive thick of it, and all of us can kind of lean in, use our experience and our intellect to help shape this thing, which I know everyone's looking to do. So hold tight, it's coming. We're trying to move it as quickly as we can. Anything else on that? I don't think so. Brenda, sorry.
I just wondered if we're asking for the committee to recommend consultants, if Don could give us just a very short summary of what skill sets we're looking for, so as people think about it, they know how to focus their thinking.
Yeah. So what we're going to talk about this afternoon, we have a evaluation criteria that we're going to go through. I think there are 6 or 7, maybe 8 different criteria that we're going to score each proposal on. So we're looking for people who have some experience with these kinds of plans, some experience with evaluating GHG inventories, and some knowledge about how the whole system works, GHG emissions versus sequestration, particularly when it comes to our rural area in Columbia County. Looking at some of the larger land uses we have, forest and farm land cover, use of some experience or knowledge about community engagement process. How do we engage the community, because part of this is a community climate action plan. So we want to engage the community as much as we can. So we want to have somebody who has some knowledge about or some experience with sort of generating that engagement in different ways. I think those are the main points, Brenda. I don't have my list in front of me, but.
So I would just think that those towns that have done CAP plans or GHG inventories would be probably the ones we'd want to focus on, because they would have typically worked with those kinds of consultants.
Yeah. Yes. Local towns have some experience with the consultants, that would be, that would be fine. There are a few that have experience with the community level action plans. So I think, that might be a little unique to us at the county.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's helpful. Thanks, Don. Great. Okay. Let's move along. The next item is the countywide climate meeting. So Don, you want to give us an update? You've made some progress reaching out to Columbia.
Yeah, I
Looks
sent
like-
out. Yeah, I've been trying to put together this little document here that kind of tracks what we've been talking about, and just a place to assemble all of our ideas. I did reach out to Andy Baker at Columbia Green Community College, and we have some open dates. They're not open on Sunday, so it has to be on a Saturday. I didn't ask about like weeknights. I didn't know if that was going to be an option for us or not, like a Friday night or something. But I think, looking at Saturdays that they have open so far, October 17th and 24th, which I think that's a little early. December 5th and January 16th and 30th are the other 3 dates that he gave to us.
People have strong opinions on any of these dates?
Don, you just muted somehow. You're muted.
hit
I
my
think
button.
Don wasn't finished talking.
No, I think I said October 17th, 24th, December 5th, and January 16th and 30th. And the 16th and 30th are a little tentative right now. They won't be, you won't know until they actually put out the college's schedule in October. Then they will become more firm. So personally, I'm leaning towards either December 5th or January 16th and 30th, just because it gives me some more time to get organized. But I think a lot of it depends on availability of speakers too. So I think we have to kind of do both those things in tandem. Reach out to some speakers and see when they might be available to participate.
Yeah. Jennifer?
I just, I worry about December dates just because after Thanksgiving, it seems like everybody's so incredibly busy. And so I would push for the January dates as well myself.
Yeah. Brenda?
I was just going to say the same thing. I think that period between Thanksgiving and the first of the year is overwhelming for most people. So I wouldn't add to it.
Yeah.
And I think it might be harder to get speakers in the same time frame for the same reason.
True.
Is it going to be difficult for us to organize if we have to wait until October to nail down those dates? I mean, I agree that we should wait and that those dates are good. And January is a good time to meet for a lot of reasons. But I mean, I'm sure we can make it work. We can line people up with tentative dates, right? And then don't do promotion until we know the date for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the condition? Why can't they confirm January? Because they're still working on the academic calendar?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, he seemed to think that those would be workable. I mean, he didn't see any problems with those, but so.
All right. Well, unless folks disagree, I think we should move forward with kind of those tentative dates and aim toward that and start doing, strategic outreach to talk to people that are potential speakers, participants, to let them know that this is being organized and to plan it out. So I like this is a wonky gathering of climate advocates seeking inspiration, interaction, and enlightenment. Is that our tagline? Definitely wonky. And it's pretty good. It's pretty spot on, it seems. So that's our mission here. What are the steps that we need to focus on at this point? I mean, we've talked about kind of what we want to get out of it. We've talked roughly about the kind of the functioning and the different types of breakouts or speakers or panels. Are there any further thoughts at this point reflecting on what Don's put together? And we also should kind of pivot toward a working group to start working on this in earnest.
I had one thought for an addition, and if the plate's too full, let me know. But Darrow School is doubling their enrollment from 125 kids to 300 kids.
Wow.
And they're opening a second, we hope, they're opening a second campus in Canaan. And they have an environmental studies program, and they have a living machine, which is, I don't know, 15, 20 years old now, which is how they've been treating their wastewater for the longest time. And I was just thinking, could there be a tie-in, especially if we do it in January, to a high school curriculum, and that we might have a high school group come in for a breakout group, or some kind of something. We're going to be working with them to see if we can't get them to do the water quality testing on our lake, and to do some pilot studies on invasive species in freshwater lakes, and what low impact, private septic systems might look like on the lake. So we really want to try and engage them, but I know that this is a generational thing, and they're very concerned and engaged in this kind of thing. So I was thinking it might be nice to expand our audience to include them if possible.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
That's what I think. I didn't know that about their enrollment, which is good news. And I had heard about the living machine. I love that. I think we should go broader. I think we should aim to bring younger people into this in general. I mean, it's lacking in our area, and it's an opportunity. Maybe that's one example. That's a great example. But reaching out to certainly Columbia Green students, Bard students, reaching out to the high schools, the other high schools in the county. I don't know. That might take us a little too far afield from what we might have to add something to the slogan to capture that. I don't know. What do people think about? We haven't set the agenda. We don't really know what we're doing, other than the only thing I was thinking is what we've done in the past, which is okay. It's good, which is all the climate, CFC, CAC, all the usual suspects, and there are a bunch of us throughout the county getting together to share, kind of cross-reference and share notes and inspire with the work that's being done. Kind of get a kind of sense of the critical mass of things happening throughout the county, but that typically is an older crowd. That doesn't include, it's us. It's not the young people, and there's not a lot of connection. There was, I think the Climate Carnival, there were some participants there where we crossed over, but and we tried, but this is another opportunity. Okay, Alexandra.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention also the kids at Oakdale Park under the leader Peter Frank. They have done water assessment, and there's a whole thing with that. So those kids, as well as the Kite's Nest Regen kids, could speak to that, all those things as well.
Yeah, two great organizations. Christina?
I don't work a lot with kids in our hub, but we do have some people who do, and they've been doing a lot of like youth climate summits, particularly in like Schenectady and Albany. I mean, I can see if there's any programming we could bring. And we're also just starting to do a film project with a group called Youth FX. It's a part of Rogue FX in the south end of Albany, but we're gonna have a bunch of kids 18 to 24 make a bunch of environmental films over the next 6 months, so that those may be ready for screening in January, if that would be of interest.
So, I mean, this is definitely hitting on the inspiring part. For me, at least, I don't know what do people think. Is this in line with, kind of, is this a proper evolution of the idea to go this direction? Yay, nay, kind of feeling it. I mean, we haven't defined it, but we'd be engaging multiple youth organizations, really trying to bring them together and to learn what's happening, in their worlds and how we can all work together more. Kind of bigger tent.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a great idea. It's Kara. I don't know if you guys can hear me. I'm in the car. But I think getting as many as possible of the youth involved would be great. I also know someone who's got a WhatsApp group for the Hudson Valley area. That may be too broad an area, but and she has expressed interest in getting young people more involved in climate issues and nature. So that could be another avenue. That may be too broad because it doesn't just encompass, the county or the Berkshires, say. But why not?
I had a thought about, as we think about this and throw other ideas into the mix, I really liked Dawn's formulation. And, when we talked about the goals last time of, we want this group to feel tighter and more inspired and enlightened, kind of at the center of the concentric circles. So as we think about adding speakers, are we trying to enlighten them, or they us, or it just feels a little bit more on the periphery than the central mission of getting this group energized and connected. It's a nice add-on, but maybe if we had like a really great speaker, we could include youth that are working on a similar topic. But I don't want to give up on the idea of the sort of core mission of getting this group better connected and inspired and aligned.
Yeah, that makes sense. Jennifer?
Yeah, I guess I agree with Victoria. The kind of central piece that I'm envisioning is that we're learning from each other about what's going on in each of the towns and things like that. And I just know from our graduate students that it's really useful to them. Like I was envisioning maybe if there were lots of young people that were invited, partially for them to be able to maybe do a poster session or to, present some of the work that they're doing, but having them be able to sit in on these roundtable groups and learn what's going on and kind of what the possibilities are, and just getting a better sense of how, local climate policy actually is enacted is useful for students. So if we do, I love the idea of getting young people involved because we just really need them to be, ready for the pipeline. And, but I think that they'd be more inspired to come if they were actively being able to present something. But I think a lot of the value is in them just hearing what we're doing as well. So if there's a way that we can balance those two goals, that would be useful, I think.
I think if we can get a really good speaker. No, I just was going to add it. If we can get a really good speaker and we can include people and then have them participate, that makes sense. Someone else.
So and that's more along the lines of what I was thinking is, I just remember when I was in high school, you could go to the college and with your advisor and you could hear something for special credit, but you were being treated like a grown-up. You were being exposed to a different environment. I was thinking more along those lines, not doing special programming, but including them in the opportunity to come and see the programming. And I do think that to Jennifer's point, it would be great if some of our town committees had a young representative on them or more, because I think they bring a different viewpoint. And this might be a way to recruit those members.
Yep.
If they know what we're doing and it appears interesting.
So it sounds like we're kind of coalescing around the core mission that we had in the core idea of getting together, inspiring, working across the towns, the county, getting as many people as we can who are involved in these projects to get together and share and inspire, get closer, but to broaden the tent, to invite more people in who may not typically are not already participating in these kind of wonky town and municipal organizations, and especially if we have a draw and an opportunity for them to come and hear something, or an opportunity for us to kind of cross and learn more about what they're doing. Does that sound about right? That's okay. So Thomas.
Yes, I just add my experience with doing these nature interviews for the Skate Project. I was the person who interviewed a bunch of teenagers. They were all Kite's Nest kids, so very direct. And it was very important for them to know, what is it that you can do for me? So I think the mission of this conference has to be very clear, so these kids know how they're participating. So the stronger you have a definition of what this conference is supposed to accomplish, I think that's the better input. And these kids have great input. I was very impressed with them.
Yeah, great. So yeah, what are we trying to accomplish? We've talked in generalities about, getting together and sharing notes and getting updates on what other actions are being taken. I mean, one broad question is, how broad is the scope of what we want to cover? Is it climate? Is it climate action specifically as we define it, in climate smart kind of wonky terms? Or is it climate and, environment conservation? Is it broader? We could organize it around the normal breakouts of like a climate action plan, the parts of the pie, the pieces of the pie that we're trying to deal with, transportation, buildings, heating, cooling, nature, call that forests and ag, land use change. We could do it that way, or we could do it, so the question is like, how broad is the scope of what we want to cover? Is it very narrow, climate, or is it broader, more environmental and other aspects substantively? And then we can think about the structure of, we want to have breakout sessions that are, on particular subjects, a panel discussion, or more than one on, crossing over different topics, or a particular, topic about how to organize, and then a speaker. So how broad is this? Is this like climate action? Or
How about, how will you adapt? These kids are very aware that they're going to have to adapt to something very different from what's around now. And they have great information.
Well, I think that's an aspect. Adaptation and mitigation is another way of kind of organizing the subject matter. There's a lot to talk about around adaptation, a lot to talk around mitigation. And we can specifically be doing climate. Brenda.
Would the speaker help us focus on how we organize the breakouts? Depending on what speaker we get, that may become a theme that we can then pull the breakouts from that theme. Or do we want to organize that just independently, organize them independently?
I'm not sure. I mean, I don't know what the speaker, I suppose.
Which speaker will have, I know.
Yeah, and maybe there's, I think we want to have a good idea as to what we want to get out of the whole thing, especially, but I think it can be affected by the speaker. Deborah?
I was just going to say that since we're working so hard on the county climate action plan, that maybe that should be the overarching, and get people excited about what we're doing. And then, once it's done, we've got a whole group of people who know about it and know what it's doing and how they can participate. I don't know.
That's a great idea. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. And the timing is pretty good. It's the introduction of this process that we're, embarking on, and seeking input and discussion. And Jennifer?
I'm just remembering some of the notes that were in the version of the RFP that Dawn sent around about issues around what's a public meeting and what's not a public meeting, and are we just need to be aware of are we assuming that this is like open to the public, or is it actually just for the climate smart community? And I think if it is, anyway, I'm just bringing that up, and yeah, maybe Dawn can add to that. And I personally like the idea of keeping it pretty focused. And I think the climate action plan is fine, but I also really like the idea of thinking about sort of challenges and opportunities of actually making progress at the local level, and having the breakout groups arranged around specific challenges that people are finding, and how trading ideas on how we can make progress. Just thinking it very practical rather than kind of broad. Inspiration is good, but I feel like we all can draw on the successes individual towns have found in being able to accomplish certain things. I like the idea of keeping it pretty focused on action. Anyway, Don, what can you add to that thing about public?
Yeah, well, originally I was thinking about the audience who we're going to invite. I a little bit broader than just climate. I was thinking, obviously this group, task force, local CSC task forces, but also like EMC and the local CACs and environmental groups that would be interested in sort of participating, because there is obviously some overlap between what we do. I think mainly just to like generate a larger group of people too. We want, maximize participation. And I think, adding the young, students, I think is part of that. And if we're looking to sort of expand our base and get more people involved in these programs, I mean, that's who we want to tap into, really. So I don't know if that helps the decision making here or not, but I am thinking about keeping it
we just need
focused.
to
But yeah,
make sure we're not conflating a CAP planning meeting versus this. Yeah. Okay.
no, I mean, certainly we can talk about that, because we are, at the end of January, we will, I'm looking over our timeline, we will likely have or be very close to having a consultant on board and hired and speaking to them. So, I mean, that'll be part of the discussion, but I don't think it's the only discussion for this particular event. I think it's a little, focused on climate and environment, but sort of broadly climate and environment, if that makes sense.
Victoria?
Yeah, thanks. I was just gonna, my head is very much where yours is, Jennifer. I mean, I'm a practitioner and I want to learn from other practitioners. How did you get it done? What is the highest impact action you think you've done? Whether it's storage, solar, conservation, culverts, and how did you do it? Because I want to walk out of that meeting knowing who I can call upon, knowing next steps I can take, feeling energized, informed, and okay, let's get it done. And I like the idea of the county climate action plan as an overall frame. But I really want to draw on the expertise that's in this group, in addition to having also a speaker that can inspire us. But I don't want to miss out on the collective expertise of the group.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's been a lot done. So that's important, as Don has documented. Christina.
I also agree with Jennifer and Victoria. I think at least when we first started talking about this, it felt very much just like the EMCs and the CACs and the CSCs don't all talk to each other equally in each town, and this being a really good opportunity to do that. Like our EMC person from Germantown, it is not on our CSC at all, but we are both on the LWRP committee, so we talk through that. But it's not enough. I feel like I do not really know what's going on with the county the EMC. But to that point, it could be kind of interesting to bring in, I don't know how many active LWRP committees there are right now, but that might be another chance for cross-pollination, because it is also quite environmentally minded.
Can you
And
say what that acronym is? I'm not
local
familiar.
waterfront revitalization plan. So a lot of, most of ours focuses on the Hudson, but I think Copac did one just on the Rojan.
Cool. Thanks, Christina. Don?
Yeah, so I had a list of groups here in that document, and what I was thinking was again thinking about what's been accomplished. As Jennifer and Victoria mentioned, having them come in like NYSERDA, CDRPC, Columbia Land Conservancy, different, but not just giving their usual, here's our table, here's what we do kind of thing, but actually identifying specific projects or things that they've done, particularly in Columbia County, that they can point to and give a little presentation on. Not just a broad, here's what we do, operation. How can we help you? So, but actually, showing us what they have actually done. A little more focus on the projects they've completed that have helped us in the county, I guess.
Yeah, that's
So in addition to like the Darrow School could give that present, I think that's a great idea too. That's a specific thing that they've worked on, and they can show us what they've done or what they would like to see happen, and that's like a very specific project that they're working on. And I think that's a great idea too. So something along those lines.
Mm-hmm. Brenda?
I just want to clarify that again. I was not thinking of them as a presenter or as a special programming. I was just thinking identifying people within their community who might be interested in seeing the work that's happening in the broader community. I was seeing them as attendees, observers, not participants. It was great to be to be in high school and to go to something at the local college and be treated like an adult, to see what things were happening. But it sounds to me that if we're having, this is a big tent. If we have, CECs and EMCs and CACs and CLC, if they're all there, that's a diverse range of interests to accommodate in terms of breakout groups. Because their projects, their focus, there is an overarching common goal, but they work independently and they work differently on different kinds of projects. So I don't know that that's helped us get to the idea of what the breakouts would be.
Yeah.
Jennifer?
Yeah, I'm wondering if we could identify maybe, 7 breakout group themes that draw on stuff that's actually happened or is in the process of happening or is trying to happen, and then identify individuals from that. I really like the list you have on those planning notes, Don. Identify 1 or 2 people from those organizations that could sit in on those breakout groups as a expertise resource, and then have these discussions be fairly focused on accomplishing certain things, like how do you increase adoption of X in your town or whatever, and then have the professional resource there as well as the whoever of these CACs and CSC people and want to be there. Then it seems like we're kind of drawing on all of that rather than having it be kind of wide open. But if we can identify some specific themes that draw on stuff that's actually happening, and then identify who would be good in those breakout groups, that might be one way to kind of cross both of those goals.
Christina?
I'm wondering if it would be good to have like an intro to what all these groups do, because I don't assume everyone knows like what the nuances and what the differences between all of them are. So maybe we could start off with something like that. And I also think, as a planning committee forms, maybe from the very beginning, having some EMC and some CCC members on that may really help identify themes in order to create breakout rooms around that.
Yep.
And then
So
maybe if we had as many as six or seven, maybe we could do, I don't know what order you do this in, the speaker and then breakout 1 and breakout 2, because I would imagine most people are going to want to go to more than one breakout. To have to choose 1 out of 6 or 7 is tough. You want to go to at least a couple. So if we could, stagger them so they're 45 minutes or an hour each, I think that would be, if we have that amount of resources, I think that would be enticing to people. You'd think it was a morning well spent.
yeah, right. If we have 6 themes, let's say, and we have 2 breakout sessions, and you can go to 1 out of 3 in each. I'm thinking about the sectors that we work in for climate, and maybe using that as the thematic kind of approach. And then I look at this list and I say, oh, that these are the 1 or 2 areas that they operate in, and they would fit. And I like your idea, Jennifer, of bringing in the subject matter expert or the agency like NYSERDA that's working in a certain area to that relevant session. And maybe they also sit in on one that in the second session that's not as relevant. That could be helpful. But if we want to go this direction, breakouts thematically, what would those 6 or 7 or whatever number of topics be? I mean, there's energy, very broad, conservation, land use, which would forest, ag, transport, adaptation. There are others that we could add to the mix. And so we want to really refine, like, what are the topics that are most relevant to Victoria's point and many people's points to what we do in our towns, like what we do in Columbia County, what we can actually work on and be effective on. Is this a good direction to breakout sessions that are thematic? We bring in the people, we make sure that those people that have made the most progress in their towns or at the county level, volunteers, people that have been active in the community that have brought these projects into being, that they're in those relevant breakout sessions and, kind of helping to lead. And then we bring in the big dogs, whoever they may be, the organizations that play in those areas to also kind of lead those discussions. And then folks can come and feel like, to Tom's point, what am I getting from this? Well, you're getting some experience, some knowledge. You get to choose what topic you're interested in. Okay, we have people ready to talk. Sorry, I keep going on and on. Christina.
This is just Christina talking. I'm not talking as Clean Energy Hub, but I have never had great experiences with the big dogs all the time. I think that most times that like our town has had to use consultants, it has taken at least as long for us to explain our town to the consultant than maybe it would have taken for us to learn how to do the thing the consultant is an expert in. And I know, working very closely with NYSERDA in my day job, like, they're going to send someone from an events team that doesn't know anything local and doesn't even really know the programs that would be useful for local. And I think there's a real magic in this local community, and maybe considering that we have as much knowledge within our own group as like necessarily rallying around outside experts.
Yeah, I mean, I think we get to choose who we want to really invite to bring into these sessions. So the first 2 on the list are NYSERDA and then the Clean Energy Hub. So there you go, Christina. We get to choose, and NYSERDA can participate, and if they want to send someone, that's great. But it doesn't necessarily mean that we'll all defer and consider that. I'd want to hear what you have to say first, and your experience in the towns. So I think you're right, but we get to choose who we want to include, and that'll help us. Good point, Jennifer.
I was just thinking around the themes, the theme of land use or energy. Those seem way too broad to me, and I'm just wondering if within, maybe transportation, energy, and land use, we could define some more specific things like getting EV chargers installed could be a theme, or, something that's targeted enough that, and what I'm thinking, Christine, on the expertise is probably the thing that's most useful is people who know where grant money is. So people that are in charge of grants from each of these organizations might be the ones, or on the regulatory side that we just, could use help on. But I'm just hoping that the breakouts are somewhat specific so that it's not just so broad that we're not getting anything super useful out of it.
Yeah, that's smart. And we should choose those topics within the broader topics that are, again, actionable in our communities, that people have made progress on, that we could do more of, and that have an impact, big bang for the buck. That's great.
Should we maybe survey this group? Just send out a short MailChimp or other survey that says, what are the topics that you would like to learn about?
Great.
Or share from. John, is that an imposition to put together?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Great idea.
That's a great suggestion. And we can also draw on the report that we just put out.
Right.
I'd love to know, like, where are people personally struggling and want help, and where do people feel like they've had a breakthrough and got something done and are willing to share? Those two questions would be really valuable for then the small group to put together a draft agenda that we can share with folks for feedback.
Right. And where's the money? I mean, like, all the projects that have been done have been because of clean energy or climate smart money, a DC grant or something, Partners for Climate Action, other, so how do we actually get the resources is going to be key. Someone mentioned that. John.
Yeah, these are all great ideas, and I'm not speaking in opposition to anything, but one of the underlying themes that seems to sort of be behind an awful lot of what we do is restoring our ecologies, and finding ways of building that theme into some of these subtopics, I think, is really important. It's a key piece of the Conservancy's conservation plan sort of builds some of that in, and that impressed me. And I just think that we should, and certainly it's going to be a key part of our climate action plan, I assume. And so it's just a theme to keep in mind, and when we can bend something to include that, I think that's worthwhile, because it's not something that's on the top of many people's mind. That's all.
Okay. Great. Thanks, John.
So I just wanted to ask one question, and maybe because I'm a legislator, this is a problem that's unique to me and or Denal, but we're being just hammered by the cost of energy, people not being able to deal with the cost of energy. And I'm wondering if that's something that we should address head on, as people working in our community in this subject matter, or if that's, too political or too broad an issue to take on. But I know it's a public issue. That's what the public is most concerned about right now, is the high cost of energy.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's really important because it's right at the center of a lot of this, but also there's a lot of information and misinformation around the causes of significant energy, cost spikes that we've seen. I mean, I just know from 6 or 7 cents a kilowatt hour to 24 cents a kilowatt hour in 15 years in our experience. I mean, that's pretty wild. Christina?
That is a hugely important issue in my work. And because my job is paid for by NYSERDA, I cannot talk to any legislators about anything. And thus I don't really keep up on the legislative agenda, but I know there's like at least 15 different bills moving forward right now on different ways to address the affordability issue. And I guess if we're looking at next January, it wouldn't be timely because the legislature won't be in session, but I wonder if there is a way. I mean, Columbia Green is in Dee Dee Barrett's district. Like, if we could have her speak to some of the legislative process about some of that, or anyone speak to the different ways people are thinking about going about re-regulating the utilities. I would be very interested in that.
Yeah, I mean, that could be the topic of the panel discussion. We could have a few people talk about policy and what the response is, response to the energy price spike.
That also is going to be, I think, I'm meeting with those Art to Work kids from Youth FX June 24th to go over kind of like what topics they want to cover. But one of the major themes is just like, okay, these are people who are paying their own bills for the first time. Like, how are they thinking about that? And how are they thinking about the whole energy system? So if they do end up moving these short films in that direction, they might be good speakers as well, because they're going to do kind of an investigative journalism kind of thing. And it's also very timely because since we've started this partnership, an AI data center has been proposed for directly like 2 blocks from where their educational facility is. So I think that will be top of their mind. And obviously that's a huge piece of energy affordability right now.
Okay, well, this is a good brainstorm. Definitely a lot of great ideas. Thank you, everyone. I think next steps, we should stand up a group to carry this forward and start moving the ball forward more on this. If we have a critical mass of people who are willing to do that. And I think that would just be a meeting initially off, alternating in the cadence of this meeting to further flesh things out in preparation of the next meeting, maybe do some additional research, outreach, starting to contact potential speakers, fleshing out what a panel discussion, maybe taking the survey results and working on the themes of the breakout sessions, trying to coordinate that with the organizations who we'd want to be in each of these sessions and the individuals in the community who have been active in those areas, if that's the structure that we end up going with. So we need a group, and it would be everyone on my screen right now if that would be possible, but so I don't know who's available to do that. Everyone's time is really tight. So if folks are interested in participating, I'm thinking monthly, maybe it wouldn't be necessary to have maybe an initial meeting in sometime in the next couple of weeks to keep the momentum going, and then meeting again in August, and then meeting in September, October to monthly. I think that would be enough, along with this meeting, to get it going. There's sponsorship and food and other things that have to be dealt with too. So let us know now or at some point in the short-term future if you're interested in doing that and can participate.
I think I already signed up, David, so.
Okay. Who else
Yeah.
do we have already on that? Remind me. Jennifer?
Yeah, I think we had.
Yeah, I
Jennifer
mean, I
Victoria.
don't think I'm already on it, am I? But but I
There is
feel like
nothing yet.
I'd like
We
to
talked
be.
about it. Yeah. Great. Kara?
I'd be interested. Sorry, I'm still sort of in transit, but yeah, I'd be happy to join and help work on that.
Great.
Sounds fun, especially since I'm also on the EMC. And it's, so I'd be happy to try to see what we can do with them.
Great.
I'm happy to help too.
That's terrific. Deborah, excellent. What we'll do, we'll just send out the invite to everyone. And if you can join, great. But it's good to have a commitment of folks who can, work on this. We should keep it as, I think a relatively consistent group of people, though, in order to make progress.
But can the little questionnaire that we just talked about, can that just happen kind of soon?
Yeah, Don and I can do that.
Yep.
That would be great. And
Yeah.
it can go to everyone. Plus, Christina said maybe the CACs and other as well, which I think is probably a good idea, but do we need to make a decision on
Ruling
that?
should be of this group first, and then we can decide based on that if there are speakers that we want to include or participants from the next circle out.
Yeah, let's start with a survey of this group, and
Okay.
and because we've put the most thought collectively into what this is, and then we don't get sidetracked by people that didn't participate in this conversation. So I think that's smart. We will broaden it. You know, we'll want to be doing a lot of outreach, but let's try to define it a little more first, I think.
And then we can just think about areas of cross-pollination. That's what I think what we're thinking about, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Okay. Thank you all. We'll be in touch, and we'll send a survey and then a doodle for the folks to get a meeting scheduled for the next couple weeks. Hopefully we can do that. I know it's very kind of busy time of year. So we'll try to get something scheduled. Don, when is our, I can't keep track of the schedule changes of our this meeting. When is our next meeting?
July, end of July. I
Oh, great.
don't think I picked like the 24th or 29th. I haven't chosen one of those yet. I have to go back through my notes to see which one was available to the most people, but I think around July 29th or a few days before that.
And that will serve kind of July and August?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, that's great. And then we'll meet again in September, beginning of September in the normal cadence. Great. So we'll try to get something scheduled. We'll have a little more time to schedule. It doesn't need to be in the next couple of weeks, but we do want to keep momentum going. So we'll see what we can do. Great. Anything else on that?
Yeah, one other note, Dave, about we've been talking to Christina about offline about possibly some funding available, and if that happens, then we would need some kind of a fiscal agent like we have had in the past for the climate carnivals. In order to do that, we would need resolutions passed through the Board of Supervisors. So that's another little, I think, one of the more urgent things that we have to kind of decide on. We don't have to have a specific date in mind to get the resolution passed to actually have the event. We can give them a range of dates or whatever. But if we're going to have someone handle the money for us, we kind of have to have a little memorandum of understanding between the county and whoever's going to handle that.
Sure. Well, in the past, we've done it with CLC, right?
Yeah.
And they would probably be amenable, I'm guessing. We can ask. They're always so supportive, and I think they probably could do that as well. And we have a template for the Climate Carnival in terms of how we went about getting the approvals too, right?
Yeah. I just dug into my records. We have examples from first time we used CLC, the second time we used Columbia Economic Development Corporation. The problem with CEDC is that they're going through a little leadership change right now. So Mike Tucker is no longer executive director there. They have a new person and just coming on board. So, and I think Terrence said that he seemed pretty positive that they would be able to handle this. So we just kind of have to get that kind of process moving forward. And I know Christina had it was kind of a deadline for using some funds. So
yeah, I have to get that money out into the world by middle end of August. So
yeah,
you
okay.
can receive it by then, even if it's next year, that's fine.
All right.
So Don, why don't we get the something on the county government agenda, just a conceptual hold on the fact that we're doing this event. We will need a fiscal sponsor, and we'd like the informal approval to move ahead with CLC and to line all those chickens up in a row.
Yeah, yes. I guess my question was, I wasn't sure if we actually needed a copy of this memorandum of understanding before it goes through the committee process, or if we can just, or if we don't. I guess that's my last question. may have to ask that, just have that discussion with Patrice about exactly what we need to
I
pass through the
also-
committee.
We need an MOU on our side for whoever we give it to. So I don't know if that's,
Right.
if that's between us and CLC, if that's the person or this, but
Yes,
I'll
yeah.
send you what we use and then you
Right.
tell me what to do from there.
Yeah, I think that would be between you and them, and not,
Okay.
you know, so, yeah.
So Don, you'll get some feedback internally. You'll discuss what type of MOU between the county and
Right.
CLC is needed. And then we have an example, a template, a model, right, from the past that we've used. So we
Yeah.
could potentially resurrect that and update it and then get it to Terrence to move it through CLC to see if they're okay with it as we move it through the government process.
Mhm.
That sound right?
Okay, yeah.
Great. All right. Well, that's good. I think that is, let me go back to the agenda. I think that's really it for the meeting. We have, we'll go around and see if there are other updates, but am I missing anything? Oh, sorry. There's one more thing here. Don, you want to talk to this? Sustainable Hudson Valley?
No, that was Sam, I think that was,
Oh, Sam, yeah.
yeah, Sam Pettit, and yeah. Was looking for some guest speakers for upcoming events. So Sam, you still on?
Yes, I am.
Yeah,
I don't know if
there you go.
something with my video, but they're going to be planning an event for July 18th as well as August 1st. And they are looking for any suggestions you folks might have for speakers. I have a couple of people in mind, but anything else you could offer up? Any other people suggestions would be greatly appreciated.
Can you just give us a quick overview of the event?
Well, they're going to be talking about their work, their grant from the Rotary Club, and they have something called Project Restore, and it's going to be an educational initiative. I could send you the details later, but that in essence, that's what it is. And so they're trying to get people who can speak about sustainability and education in the field and so on and so forth.
Okay, great.
Is this for young people or who's the audience?
Who is the audience? The general public, not for young people per se,
Okay.
but yeah.
All right. Any other updates? CLC, I don't know if Terrence is on or
I don't think he is, but I'm gonna take over because I just want to remind everybody that the Taconic Community Forest is opening, having its grand opening this Saturday, and it's from 10 to 3 p.m. And we have a bunch of trails that the community stewards have all hacked at for months and gotten all ready to go. We've planted, I think it's now 1,800 trees in a deer exclosure. So hoping to really generate a very healthy forest. We've got a forester that's going to take people on walks. We have the great Will Yandick is going to do a couple bird BioBlitz walks. We've got Helen Forgione and Gretchen Stevens doing a flora, I call it the flora walks, BioBlitz walks. And this is terrible. I can't remember his name now that I've mentioned all the other names. A teacher from, I think, Hudson High School who is going to take people on the fauna walk of, I think, reptiles and whatnot. And then we're going to have raptors. There's going to be snacks and food. And I don't remember the total number of trails that are open, but it's been an amazing experience to watch the community completely get into this forest, and it's a community. So go to CLC's website to register, because then don't worry about it if, it doesn't cost anything, but if you're going to come, register, because then you'll get the details of location and parking, because parking is still trying to be worked out. So if you have any questions, reach out to me. But I'll be there all day, and I'll be wearing my T-shirt that says I'm part of the committee, but I'm also part of CLC. So it's just really, really fun and exciting. So I really am so happy about this, and lots of other things going on with CLC, but that's the most pertinent.
That's excellent. Very cool.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks, Kara, so much. Thanks to CLC for the community forest. It's very exciting.
And thanks to the community because they've just been so awesome.
Sam?
Yeah, I just wanted to add, as I brought up their poster, a little bit more information. It's a leadership academy, a 2-day immersion program. Session topics are climate change, the solutions, energy transition, materials matter, nature's power, adapting and thriving, and telling your story and taking action. So that's why it's sort of both sectors, but that's what they're going to be focusing on to try to get people in the community to have to get skills to help deal with the climate crisis.
Is there a link to an online thing that you can put in the chat? Or
Yeah, yes, I will put it in here now. Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Thanks, Sam. Christina, any other updates from the Energy Hub? She maybe had to jump.
Yeah, I think she jumped off. Yep.
Okay. Dylan, I don't know if Dylan's on. Soil and water. Okay. Lindsay? We're just moving right along, aren't we?
She was
the
on.
Dog Days Summer. What's that?
Lindsay was on.
Okay. No update there. And anything else? All right. Thank you all. That was a productive discussion. Appreciate everyone's input, and we will talk soon. Take care.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks. Bye. Bye.